Let me jump right into it. These quote-unquote notices are not even fucking relevant. Let me explain. Let's just forget about the forged orders for a second. But just only for a second. Let's forget about these so-called inquest notices that was sent by the court. Oh, I forgot to add that they mailed me another fake ass notice of inquest. The bad thing about this attempt to deceive me is, let me explain. I've been going to court over this matter since June 25th, 2015. Numerous letters was mailed to my residence with no problem. But ironically and coincidentally, this fake letter was mailed to one of my neighbors. Go figure. The fact that there is no notice of trial or inquest or note of issue, which I explained in my last video, the cover up, makes this case void and has ended. Let's look at the definition of inquest in family court. I just want to cover as much as possible for those who are watching and waking up, because these tribunal terrorists will try to tear apart anything that I say. Inquest. A proceeding in family court where the respondent, after having been provided due notice, let me repeat, after having been provided due notice and fails to appear, and the petitioner alone introduced testimony. Look up the definition of provide. All right? Because they saying provided due notice after having been provided due notice. But let's go a little further. If you started a case, this is still the definition. If you started a case and never got an answer from the other side and the time to answer is over, you can ask the court for an inquest. It reads, if you started a case and never got an answer from the other side and the time to answer is over, you can ask the court for an inquest. The case started in 2015 and they have gotten an answer. I showed up to every court date up to the point I objected about, Drunk Bonnie. When I objected about Drunk Bonnie and the forged orders that, I believe Drunk Bonnie forged. So this is another example of the court violating due process. And the rest of the definition is about money, which doesn't involve this case. Well, not for me. My child is my only motive. Her mother is the one that's dishing out money. But let me continue. This is what happens at an inquest hearing. The inquest is just like a trial, except the other side is not there because he or she didn't answer or come to court. Please stay with me. When you go before the judge, you will have to provide evidence about the truth of what you claim in the claimant or petition. Make sure you bring all of your evidence and witnesses to court. So this make me ask, is this an inquest or a trial? I'm going to continue reading, but let's look at the second fake notice of inquest that the court had sent to me. Matter of fact, had sent to my neighbor. Look, it says notice of inquest, right? But it says the purpose for this inquest is trial. But the definition, according to New York Gov, nycourts.gov, the inquest is just like a trial, except the other side is not there because he or she didn't answer or come to court. So it's like a trial, but it's not a trial. But it is a trial metaphorically. But the second fake or notice of inquest that Brooklyn Family Court mailed to my neighbor say the purpose is trial. Now look at the first fake notice of inquest. The purpose in this one says disposition. I'm pretty sure they have an explanation to their law not meaning what it say. But it is a disposition. But is it a disposition? Or is it a trial? April 20th was the court date where I was a no-show. Instantly, they created the first fake notice of inquest. Look at the date. So they either came up with this fake notice of inquest before or on April 20th. But look at the date on the second fake notice of inquest. The first scheduled trial date was June 26th. But on this second fake inquest notice, it's dated July 5th. Kind of odd. I didn't show up on the 26th of June either. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. But they mailed this before I put out the cover-up video on July 10th. In this video, I showed how these notices are fake, so they didn't know about me cooking up the cover-up. They know now. They're watching. They used something I posted on Instagram as evidence. The funny thing is, my daughter mother is not following me on social media, but her friends are. So I have to ask, what was the purpose of taking a screenshot or however you relayed it to them? Did you do it for some feminist movement, or did you do it for girl power? If so, isn't my daughter a girl? Did your fucking logic consider her? Or you playing your part in this war that doesn't involve you nor your friend who you are supposed to be repping? Does girl power include having a relationship with your father? Do your feminist mentality include father-daughter relationship? What I post on social media, especially about this case, has to do with being a father? The problem is these broken women replace the essence of a man, even if they're heterosexual, with a mirage of fame through social media likes and attention from anywhere they can fucking get it. But back to these bastards who are trained pirates. I'm just simply breaking down their lies in the midst of their lies, because this notice of inquest that they mailed to my neighbor is fake. Another definition is requesting an inquest. An inquest will not be held unless a defendant time to answer has expired. Listen to this part very closely, please. If the defendant was served, let me say that again. If the defendant was served, I'm assuming I'm the defendant. But then again, it would be more confusing because I filed with the court first. Then my daughter mother lawyer convinced her to file the same case for in the same court. Yeah, go figure. But let's say I'm the defendant. If I was served, meaning I had to be served notice for this inquest properly. Let me finish reading. But if I was served by in-hand delivery, the defendant has 20 days to file an answer. If the defendant was served, there we go again, by other than in-hand delivery, The defendant has 30 days to answer, beginning from the time the plaintiff files the affidavit of service of the summons and complaint with the court. So guess what? I'm writing the court again in a notarized certified letter demanding the affidavit of service of the summons and complaint that was filed with the court for this notice of inquest, for this requesting the notice of inquest, because the court mailed me this fake notice again. So therefore, I'm assuming that the inquest was granted. So therefore, there should be an affidavit of service. All right. For those who don't know what an affidavit of service is, I will explain it to you. Filing an affidavit of service whenever any legal papers are served. Emphasis on the words "papers are served." But I'm going to finish reading though, because I was never served any papers for this inquest. Whenever any papers are served, the person serving the papers must fill out a written form that says how the papers were served. See, this is the thing. Now they have to produce this along with the other stuff that I demanded them to produce in my last video, the cover up. This form is filed with the court after the service is done. This form is called an affidavit of service. A licensed process server will have his or her own forms. To find affidavit of service, go to forms, visit a court help center, or ask the court for one. And that's what I'm doing, but I'm demanding it from them. I'm not asking them shit, I'm demanding it. So this is what I'm gonna stop right here. This is what I want everyone that's watching to understand. I am obeying their rules. I just want to show everybody that's watching that I am going by their rules. I'm following their rules. I'm not saying, oh shit, fuck, life ain't fair. They defending the woman, they this, that, and the other because I know better. They're not defending the woman. They are because, in a sense, they are because the woman is what is essential to them generating revenue in this corrupt mob style organization. You understand? Like I said, I'm following every rule that they saying. I'm gonna make a follow-up video in about a week. I'm gonna give them a week. I'm already mailed the certified letter. They already signed for it. At the court, so they received it. So I'm gonna give them a week, and I'm gonna make a follow-up letter. It's either they got two choices for what I request in the cover-up video. It's I request the note of interest, the note of issue, the notice of trial or inquest, and the certificate of readiness of trial. It's either they could do one thing, they could lie and make up some bullshit paper, or they could totally ignore me. You understand? This is what you call boxing them in. And I'm doing it by their rules. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna make a follow-up video if they respond or if they don't respond. So here we are again, and I'm asking for this affidavit of service because no fucking trial, no case or no hearing between two parties can go on unless someone is properly served. I'm not even gonna try to file a motion for for the validity of these papers if they produce. I'm just lining my ducks up in a row. Facts. But anyway, and that's what I'm doing. In a certified notarized letter, I am mailing to the court. But let's go down to filing an affidavit of service. Filing the affidavit of service, proof that legal papers were delivered. This is their rules. This is from nycourts.gov. This is not from, matter of fact, you know what? I'm not even using the Constitution right now. They're saying fuck the Constitution, so fuck it, I'm gonna say fuck the Constitution. And I'm gonna use their law. This is nycourts.gov. This is nowhere else. You can look it up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put each link at the bottom of the page from everywhere that I got this on nycourt.gov. You could jot it down and you could go put in your search, whatever you use, Google, Bing, Yahoo, you can put it in there and it's gonna pop right up. This is not something I made. This is something they made. It's like you will say, you know what, y'all can come into my crib, but you gotta take your shoes off. But you walking around with your shoes on. How you gonna make rules and you won't even abide by them? You understand? This is why you need to, for one, you need to investigate who you're about to have unprotected sex with. Facts. You need to sit down and be like, yo, this dude is crazier than a horse. Or like, yo, there's something about this chick, you know what I mean? Everything looked good, but, she could be real empty and hollow on the inside. And with you being hollow, and I go both ways for the female and the dude, because there's a lot of broken women at the same time. There's a lot of mama boys. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't give a fuck if you see them popping bottles or they mama fucking boys, and they can't do nothing for a woman. They want their mama in you. You understand? And with the broken women, they have no clue of what a father looked like, so they have no clue what a man looked like. You know what I'm saying? So you have to do investigation. You have to investigate. I ain't talking about snooping and hiding in the bushes. I'm talking about pay attention to detail. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you just ignore everything that I'm saying, you need to still sign that contract, because when you go to court, you're not a litigant, you're not a party, you're not a petitioner and a respondent, you're not a parent, you're a customer. You're a fucking customer. This is all psychological. You know what I'm saying? This is all psychological, and when you figure that out, maybe you'll start, focusing on trying to establish a strong foundation, so when shit gets shaky with y'all, you still have that foundation. You know what I'm saying? And weed out anything that could motherfucking germinate your growth. You know what I mean? Just do that, because these people don't give a fuck about they know that y'all not gonna get along. They already know that you're not gonna get along, and when you come there, because it's either you're gonna do that or they're gonna, like, for example, my thing, I can't just be like, you know what, fuck that, this is my child. These motherfuckers will kill me. You understand? They will murder me. So, not knowing any better, I came to them like, yo, I need you to, rectify this situation. But they like, all right. And especially when they saw how much money my mother had, they was like, we've been praying, Lord, for the come up of the come ups, and you delivered. But, like I said, I'm following by their rules. So I'm not asking nobody for anything. I'm just showing you through my case that this is how it is. They didn't single me out to, just to be like, all right, let's do him dirty. This is every day. You know what I mean? The testimonies that I have heard since fucking June 25th, 2015 from people that don't know what's going on with my situation is fucking crazy. This is like, it's like, it's not even like they have any remorse for the kids or anything, and I'm gonna break a whole lot of shit down in the Honorable Dean T. Kusakabe video, but I'm sorry, I was just flowing, But let me get back into the definition. Filing the affidavit of service, proof that the legal papers were delivered. You understand? Served and delivered. That's like, what's that? Synonyms? That's a synonym, right? It can be. But proof that the legal papers were delivered must always be given to the court. So that word must is very viable to their defense. Because if it must always be delivered, it must always be given to the court, that means that you have it. So I need to see it. Okay, and let me get back to it. If the case has already started, the original affidavit of service is filed when the original legal papers are given to the court. The rules are different for filing an affidavit of service when starting a case. But it's still an affidavit of service. Let's skip a paragraph because this part right here is key. All right? Go down to where it says in. Well, in other cases, if the papers are served, there go that word again. There go that word served again, but let me finish. If the papers are served by personal delivery, there is no set time limit to file the affidavit of service. Defendant's time to answer starts to run when he or she is handed the papers. Let me finish. I don't think I gotta elaborate on that part right there because this is what I'm saying. This is their rules. It says if he or she, the defendant time to answer starts to run when he or she is handed the papers. If the papers are served by substitute service or conspicuous, if I said it wrong, I don't care. Place service is not finished until the affidavit of service is filed with the court. Let me finish. If the service is not finished, complete, the defendant time to answer the summons and complaint does not start to run. In the Supreme, County, and City Courts, the affidavit of service must be filed by 20 days or less from the date the papers were left or mailed, whichever is later. Whichever is later. So therefore, this is the crazy thing. They didn't even mail me an affidavit of service. You understand? Because even if they, I think the Supreme Court allows you to, have someone put it in the mailbox or mail it certified mail. Even none of that happened. Because if it happened, then they could produce it. But service is finished 10 days after the filing, and the defendant time to answer start to run. In the district, civil, town, and village court, defendant time to answer starts to run from whenever the affidavit of service is filed. So I'm assuming, since they done went on with the inquest, all right, since he have a notice of inquest, you understand what I'm saying? Because they're, like I said, they're already, this is fake, but I'm going to humor them. I'm going to play along. Since this notice of inquest is right there, it's on the paper, so it's official, right? So, therefore, it should be an affidavit of service because you have a notice of inquest and you're saying the purpose of this notice of inquest is the trial. But before you said this, the purpose of the other fake notice of inquest, you said it was a disposition. So, I need an affidavit of service because this is what your law is saying. I don't know what this is, and you know what? The people do this a lot in church. They'll say, well, the Bible said, come as you are, and then they'll come to church with a whole titty out. You see, I'm not trying to be vulgar or anything like that. But people will flip words around to make it seem like what was said or what was written isn't what was said or what was written. The come as you are part in the Bible, people will come with saggy pants, tight pants, fucking tight skirts, and their titties out, showing mad thighs, splits up to the hip, you know. But this isn't what come as you are means. You got dressed before you came to church. Hopefully you showered. You did all of that. You got dressed. So you had options to come as you are before you came to church. You had different outfits you could have put on. You just chose the outfit where your titties are hanging out. Then they will say, the Bible said, come as you are. And they say, other than the part where they come with the titty out, if you convict them on something that the Bible says, then they'll tell you that the Bible didn't mean that. Why would they put that there? Why they wouldn't just put what they mean if that's, you understand? And that goes for nycourts.gov too. So I think God wrote this too. You know, by the way, one more thing. By the way, when serving an affidavit, or when whoever receives the affidavit, or whoever was served in the place of the person, or the person actually, someone must sign for it. Everything that I am using is from their law. This is nycourts.gov, not the Constitution. The NY in NY Court stand for New York. This is their law. From my experience, the court pirates do not respect or honor the Constitution. The courts don't even respect the Constitution when it comes to President Trump. Now, I know people literally hate Trump, but that's still our president. Or, let me put it in a better term, that's still the president of this country where we reside in. Whether you like it or not, I'm not supporting him or any other president. I don't vote, and I would never vote. They are killing my people on TV. Name one president that did anything to rectify that. But let me say the word faggot, and all hell breaks loose. Teach his own. Be whoever you want to be. Be with whoever you want to be with. But if anyone is going to rule over the first shift or the second shift or a county or a church or a state or a country, you must imply and insert equality. Plain and simple. Just like in family court. But it's a fucking purge going on. And to me, that's headline news. That's hardly news. Anyway, I'm just showing you how fucked up it is. You know, how fucked up this system is and the cunt bastards that run it. This is why you should never hire a lawyer for family court. Maybe for if you're doing like you got a crime, or you committed a crime, or you know you're involved in a lawsuit. But for family court, don't ever hire a lawyer. You understand? A lawyer would have overlooked on purpose all of the bullshit that I presented in my videos. Stay tuned for the Honorable Dean T. Kusakabi video. It's going to show you how the cunt bastard and many other judges are literally frauds. One last thing. I'm in this war alone. People have found a problem with the language that I use in my videos. Since I've been doing this, people have a problem with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Let me explain. I am not an articulate doctor or anything like that. I am not a motivational speaker or anything else. I am an angry father. Because of this so-called legal system, my life has been altered completely. Because of these fucking bastards who are called public servants and officers of the court. So if your thing is speaking and acting in a manner that shows respect to your oppressors, more power to you. But I'm not that dude. Just because Eric Garner was selling cigarettes on the street, are you telling me that that's enough reason to overlook him getting murdered? Or Alton Sterling, because he was selling CDs without a vendor's license, we are supposed to accept he got murdered? Or the cops smelling weed in the car of Philantro Castile, and smelling weed in the car where he was murdered in. Is that enough to shoot the man over and over in front of a 4-year-old child and his girlfriend? Not to mention that this may traumatize them for the rest of their life. So the fact that I call these people cunts and bastards, which are my opinions, the fear of people not listening and helping and not helping me make this happen because they are overlooking the facts, then fine. Fuck them. If they got a problem with how the words I use, or they don't want to stop listening and disregard every fact that I said about these cock-sucking bastards, fuck them. Fuck everybody. The police has come after me as if I'm a criminal. I have to peek out of my building before I exit to make sure the police aren't lying in wait to harass me, especially when I'm with my daughter. They post signs around my building as with my apartment number on it, which is strange because the apartment number is correct there, but this second fake notice of inquest has somebody else's apartment on it. But anyway, they left shit like that for all my neighbors to see, and I live in a gentrified building. Many of my neighbors that lack understanding can look at me, as anything other than who I am because of this fucking bullshit. This shit is humiliating. All because I'm standing up for my rights and not conforming to their system. You come at me this way. You don't realize that I would rather die than not be able to be a father to my daughter. When everybody understands that, everything should run a whole lot smoother. All the clouds will part. I guess nobody gets it. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not trying to make them feel comfortable while they are violating everything about me. I have traveled great lengths to pick up my daughter through all type of weathers and conditions. And here I am showing you that these people are violating in every way, yet you have a problem with the names I called them? Are you fucking kidding me? I had to travel great length with my child in my arm through blizzards, fucking snow, 2 foot of snow, heat waves, hurricanes, and they ignored all my gentle lamb cries. I got motherfuckers from these feeble ass, stagnant, fake ass father right groups emailing me and shit. They want to march and have petitions signed, yet they're giving me advice from sitting behind their computers. None of you have the gall to fight or stand up for your sanity, let alone your manhood. So nobody can tell me how to do this, especially when you're too shook to do it for your fucking self. On that note, don't watch anymore. Don't support anymore. If I, by the law of the land and the Constitution and their law, get my daughter without waiting on the courts, without respecting their void orders, and just taking her, they would have someone put a fucking bullet in my head saying that I kidnapped my daughter. So keep bigging up your overseers. Keep being considerate to your oppressors or what may seem to be a path of potential. I don't give a fuck. These crooks took days and years and moments of my child life that I can never get back. So if you want to be worried about how the one with the whip may perceive what you say, more power to you. You have to go through all this bullshit and still remain presentable to the ones cracking the whip? Are you serious? I'm not Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. Umar Johnson or Roland Martin show. I'm not none of them. I am simply an angry father. When these people was in war, do you think they were being articulate with their adversaries? Was they still waiting for the oppressor acceptance for them, or being tired of being violated? They're tired. They're mad. They're fucking angry. I'm angry. So my question is, why are you not angry? Facts.
Stockholm Syndrome, or capture bonding, is a psychological phenomenon described in 1973 in which hostages express empathy and sympathy and have positive feelings toward their captors, sometimes to the point of defending and identifying with the captors. These feelings are generally considered irrational in light of the danger or risk endured by the victims, who essentially mistake a lack of abuse from their captors for an act of kindness. The FBI's hostage barricade database system shows that roughly 8% of victims show evidence of Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome can be seen as a form of traumatic bonding, which does not necessarily require a hostage scenario, but which describes strong emotional ties that develop between two persons where one person intermittently harasses, beats, threatens, abuses, or intimidates the other. One commonly used hypothesis to explain the effect of Stockholm Syndrome is based on Freudian theory. It suggests that the bonding is the individual's response to trauma and becoming a victim. Identifying with the aggressor is one way that the ego defends itself. When a victim believes the same values as the aggressor, they cease to be perceived as a threat. Stockholm Syndrome is sometimes erroneously referred to as Helsinki Syndrome.
One last thing. This is an actual note of issue, which by law must be submitted to the clerk before a trial can be placed on the calendar. This is also an actual note of trial or inquest. I'm just displaying what they try to disguise as a note of inquest and to cover up. This is the deal. On their notice of inquest, meaning the fake one, there is nowhere to sign, nor is there a signature. But let's look at the real notice of trial or inquest. And let's look at a note of issue. Now, like I said about the fake notice of inquest, there is no signatures. Not from a judge, not from a lawyer, not even mine. But on nycourts.gov, note of issue and notice of trial or inquest, take a look. It's a place for each party's attorney to sign, and also a place for each party to sign if they are pro se, meaning if you are representing yourself. Now, let's look at the certificate of readiness, which follows both the note of issue and the notice of trial or inquest. Even on both certificates of readiness, they both require a signature. So that's two signatures. That's one for the inquest, the notice of trial or inquest, and their certificate of readiness, and the note of issue and their certificate. Either way they went, it requires two signatures. I'm still waiting for that from the court. I'm speaking about the note of issue and the notice of trial or inquest, followed by certificate of readiness.
Good at the game of tricknology, but I have knowledge of myself. You're not fooling me.
Listen closely. Family court is based on prima facie or prima facie. It's Latin for on first sight. But it's not the law. It's not even the law. It's make-believe law. At first sight of you, they hear. Facts. Look at the definition from Google. Based on the first impression, accepted as correct until proven otherwise. Now let's look it up in Black Laws Dictionary 6th edition, and it reads, prima facie or prima facie, like I said, is Latin. At first sight, on the first appearance, on the face of it, so far as can be judged from the first disclosure, presumably, a fact presumed to be true unless disproved by some evidence to the contrary. See also presumption. Do you see what I mean? They are making orders and judgment off of face value, and it's your job to prove them wrong. The definition for what the courts are doing is telling you, and when I say you, I mean both parties. The definitions are telling you that they are crooked crooks. Why would you deal with them for any fucking reason? You and your lover need to sign a contract stating each other's duties if things go awry. I want to correct something I said in my child support video. I have a pending disability claim. That means I'm exempt from child support. Yet they bill me for $25 a month. Let me say this. My daughter wants for nothing over this way. She eats healthy over here, and she have at least 20 pair of footwear, along with numerous outfits. She learned about her roots, how to plant a seed to grow, and a lot of shit that her father knows. So we good over here. Her mother pays the daycare and her lawyer. And it's sad because she provide more for the daycare and the lawyer than she do her own child. Facts. Anyways, 65% of $25 is $10 a month. But I was wrong. The city or the state, whoever, the state takes 66% from child support. And that would give my daughter mother $8,050 a month for child support. So let me explain to you what the problem is. It's fathers. Fathers are the problem, or lack thereof. This system noticed the father's strength, then removed and punished them. They removed them from the home or removed them from the family, and then punished them. The same system noticed the mother's weaknesses, then exploited and pimped them. Then you have the fathers that was raised by the mothers who this system exploited and pimped. But like I said about prima facie or prima facie, the court is telling you to prove them wrong. And that's exactly what the fuck I'm doing with their law. Otherwise, their mentality is,
what? Business bad? Fuck you, pay me. Oh, you had a fire? Fuck you, pay me. Place got hit by lightning, huh? Fuck you, pay me. What if I get one of those TVs? Nah, I'll be sorry.
Before I go, I want to address one other piece of fuckery for the cover-up. I want to read this right quick about asking for an inquest. In most cases, you must send the defendant additional notice of the action. A copy of the pleadings must be mailed to the other side, which is me, in an envelope marked personal and confidential at least 20 days before the inquest. Their law says that the envelope must be marked confidential, personal and confidential at least 20 days before the inquest. Peep the date on the envelope. It's the same exact date that is on the second fake notice of inquest. I'm not going to bust your head no more about that. But in closing, if, and this is to all the people that want to tell me how to do what I'm doing, but is scared to do what they doing themselves, to do, to fight for their own shit themselves. Because memes and shit like that on social media, they don't even get noticed. These people are on yachts and in the Hamptons with your money. So anyway, but the question I want to know is, if I'm fighting the oppressor and you're fighting me, what does that say about you?
Girls, it's largely because we've lost our commitment to having fathers in the home. Everybody's on this whole I can do it all by myself kick of either fathers. Some fathers are just choosing not to be there, but a lot of fathers are not being given access to their kids. I know a lot of these guys as well at Black Men United. I think that narrative needs to be changed. We need to stop sitting here pretending like the black man is solely responsible by himself for the failures of the black family. He's not solely responsible. Some of these women are ratchet and some of these men are ratchet, and that's the honest to God truth. I think also what's interesting is that, people want to pretend like that's like, if you bring it up, they think you're blaming mothers or you're attacking somebody, and everybody's so fucking focused on not being attacked that they're not focusing on solving the damn problem. It ain't about you. It ain't always about you. It's about the fucking issue. It's about the kids. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss, but when it comes to our kids, I get so angry because you got people out here that are ruining our children, and everybody thinks that if you say something about the fact that your child learns how to dance before they learn how to read, that somehow you're being attacked. Say, no, you're not being attacked. Your child is being protected. A child molester is not being attacked when somebody calls him out for molesting a child. So a bad mother's not being attacked when somebody calls her out for not raising her children properly. The fact is, it's a matter of protecting the kids. So at the end of the day, though, what I really want to reiterate is, if you really want to talk about protecting our kids, just know that it's hard to do that without the fathers. I know a couple of cops, 2 cops actually, in different cities who both did work in the Crime Against Children unit in their divisions. And they would go investigate crimes where, a little baby was raped, stuff like that, or a teenager. And they said that most of the time, it's a single mom who has her boyfriend around her kids and doesn't realize what's happening while she's at work all day. That basically these kids are not protected because the father's usually the protector. Kind of like the James Evans Jr. Layout on Good Times. When you had the strong fathers in the house, it wasn't as likely that an R. Kelly could be taking out your 13, 14-year-old daughter. But if a mama's working 12 hours a day and there's no father as a backup, that's more likely to happen. It happens all over Chicago. I live in Chicago. I see it all the time. These little girls getting victimized by their older men who provide them with money or attention that they never got from their dads. So if you want to be honest and real, you talk about what's real. But if you want to live in a fantasy land where you somehow think that doing the same thing we've been doing for the last 20 years is going to get us a better result, then be my guest. Because at the end of the day, it ain't gonna get no better if we don't make it any better. And right now, we're not making it any better.
The weird part about this tracking info is normally all of the other letters and documents that I mailed to the court was signed by the front desk / receptionist. But this one was delivered to the mailroom. If it's out of place, then you must investigate. I know it don't rhyme, but that's the truth. If it don't belong there, if it don't seem right, you must look into it. It might be something, then again, it might be nothing. But why was this one delivered to the mailroom? They are probably trying to start the process to dismissing the case. But then if you're going to do that now, what was the point of putting all those trial dates on the calendar? But they must follow due process for whatever they do. Because I'm waiting. So their only options are to accept the ditch that they already dug for themselves, or to continue to dig a deeper one.
It's crazy. I cannot. That's crazy, Fish.
Nonetheless, I need that affidavit of service ASAP.